So for our next project, we're going to take a look at these puzzle tubes. So we've kind of got something like this, and we printed out the top of it, and we just, it follows a basic pattern, right? So really, we're going to have to talk about how to wrap a sketch, and then we put it together, and obviously they go together certain ways, right? Well, here's one I previously have done in Inventor. Basically, we've made this a tube, we've made it hollow, and then we applied some sort of pattern on there, right? So let's talk about how we can do that. I'm just going to go up and just start a brand new assembly, and I'm going to say create, and I'll say new component. For this one, I'm just going to call it the base. So this will be the bottom of it, right? And because I've already done this, I'm going to call mine base 2. Right? So I've clicked create, and then I got to click out here somewhere. When I do that, I can start sketching and everything. The first thing I'm going to want to do is just draw the tube, right? So let's just keep it simple. We'll draw this tube, and let's make it like a 2-inch circle, right? Just a basic 2-inch circle. And then I'll go ahead and I think I'll just extrude that. And we'll make this, I don't know, let's keep it simple, right? So let's make that 2 as well. So I've got a 2-inch cylinder is what I've got. And I'll go ahead and shell that out. So in other words, I'm going to make it hollow, right? And I'm going to keep the thickness consistent, so I'll just say 0.125. So there's the basics of it. Now I could get pretty and stuff with it if I liked. I could put a bottom on that. Let's take a look at the previous example. You can kind of see here I've made it hexagonal, and put some fillets on there. I could do that, but for the basic, for the demo, let's just do it this way. All right, so now what I've got is I've got the hollow part, right? So I'm going to come over here on origin, and I'm going to just find a plane. What I like to do here, though, I like to use a tangent plane. We'll go over there to the origin, and I'm going to get a plane up, and I'm just going to, for right now, just turn the visibility on. Right? Any of these planes will work as long as they're not. Like those two will work, but that one will not. So either one of these will work. I'm just going to turn the visibility on it right now. Now I'm going to go up here to plane, and I'm going to say tangent and parallel to plane. Tangent to surface and parallel to plane. So I'm going to click that. I'll click the edge, and then I'll click the plane, and notice it gives me that tangent plane. All right, so now I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to hit Start 2D Sketch. I'm going to go ahead and make a rectangle smack dab in the middle of this thing. Now here's the deal with this. I want this thing, eventually it's going to wrap around, right? We know that we did a 2-inch diameter circle. So in order to do the math on that, let's take a look at that. How long can I make this thing? Circumference equals pi times diameter. So in this case, our diameter is 2. So we're going to take pi times 2, and that's going to give us our circumference. The significance of that is that basically tells us how long we can make that square that we just put on there. So I just put the pi button in, and I'm going to put times diameter, which in this case is 2. And so I'm going to get 6.2832. Now, obviously, the more decimal places I carry, the more accurate it's going to be, right? So 6.2832. Let's go ahead and put that in here for the length. So notice I've come down here. It's got to be 2 inches high, right? Because that's the extrusion. And we came down here and we said 6.2832. Now, if I zoom out, everything's got to take care, or it's got to happen in that little area because that's going to wrap around for me, right? So from here, I'm just going to create my pattern. I'm going to kind of want to stay consistent with the thickness of those rectangles. Right, so maybe I've got something going like this, and I'm going to come out this way, and I'll make this 1.5 long and then 0.2. What I've got now is I've got a sketch done. So I'm going to hit Finish Sketch. You can see what's going on here now. Let me kind of get this into place where we can see it. So now I'm going to go up here. I'm in Emboss now. And I'm going to select all these little rectangles I've drawn here. In other words, this is going to be the path, correct? Now right here where it says Wrap to Face, I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click the cylinder. As soon as I do that, it's gonna wrap it in there. Okay. Now I've got two options here, right? I can make it project or I can make it cut. And for our puzzle tubes, you're actually going to want to make that cut. So now let me rotate that around and you can see there are the cuts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and come over here and I'm going to turn some of the visibilities off on these work planes. I'm going to leave them there, of course, but I'm going to just turn them off so I can actually see what's going on a little bit better. I think what I'm going to do also is make this a different color so maybe things are a little more visible to us. That shows up a little cleaner. So now I'm going to hit return and I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to hit create. And for this say, I'm going to say top. And I'm going to call mine top 2 again, remember. And make sure I've saved it in the right folder I want to save it to. And then I'll just come in here and I'll say I want to create it right there. And I'm going to square this thing up a little bit. So now I know exactly where the top of this thing is going to be. So I'm actually just going to use, I'm in sketch mode. I'm going to go into sketch here. And I'm going to use project. I'm going to use project and I'm going to get that circle up. I don't really need this circle because the one I'm creating is going to go inside here, but I do need something like this. Right? So now I'm going to say offset. I'm going to take this and just kind of offset it. Right? And all I'm going to do is make it big enough. I need to have a little bit of clearance. Generally with 3D printing, I'm going to say something like 0.03. Okay, so I've got something going like that. And then I'm going to take another circle outside here. And this is going to be the thickness of it. So I'd say let's make this 2.25 for me. Now I'll extrude it. And I'm going to go down just a little bit. I don't want to go down all the way because remember, in fact, really what I want to do is I want to stay less than 0.2 because remember in my case, I made these walls to be 0.2 and I need that little tab right there to go and slide and rotate through there, right? So I can do a little bit better than 0.125, but let's keep it. Remember, I want to keep it so that it'll clear, right? So I'm going to make mine like 0.175 and hit OK. So I've got something going like that. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and extend this now. So I'm going to say start 2D sketch. And I'm going to take my rectangle tool. I'm going to align one there. And I'll align one like right there. And I'll hit extrude on this. Well, let's see here. Essentially what I'm trying to do now is cover it up, right? So I want it to be the same. So that's going to be 1.8. And then I can come back on here and I'm going to say start 2D sketch and I'm just going to put a cap on the top of this thing. So something like this. And then I'll just extrude the whole thing. I don't need it to be too thick here. I'll just keep it small. 0.125 and hit OK. I'll go ahead and get rid of this work plane. So I'll just hit the visibility. Okay. But now I can hit return. And these two should slide apart. Because the way I did them, I need to actually right click on here on the top one and just say adaptive and turn that off. And now I can pull them apart. So now they're two separate entities, right? They're two totally separate pieces. And I know they're going to work because I fit them up. So from here, though, I could take another sketch. Like one of the examples I gave you was like a bear, right? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to double click on this piece and I'm going to say, you know what, let's see if we can find that another plane here. So I'll just go here to the origin and I'll use that. I'll go ahead and turn the visibility on this one, right? And then I'm going to say, give me that tangent to parallel to plane, right? I want to here and here, right? So now I'm going to go back into sketch mode on right there. And now I'm going to go up here to image. And I'm going to find an image on my computer. And here's a bear that I was working with, right? So I'm going to say, all right, give me and put that bear right there. Now I'm going to right click and say, okay. Now from here though, I'm in sketch mode, so I can actually go up here to arc, and I could come in here and say, all right, you know what, from here to here is kind of an arc, and I could zoom in really good, right? And essentially, I'm going to draw this bear. I'm going to follow the outline. Now, if I need to make things smoother, right, I can use the tangent constraint. Like, so you know what, I don't really like the way that came out at all. That's a little better. And I can come up here to trim, right? And get rid of these two lines. And I can make these tangent as well. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace around the bear, right? So when I do that, after I get that thing done, I can do an emboss on it as well. Let's take a look at one that I did in Fusion. You can see there's the bear itself. Same process as before, right? I took the bear, I traced around it with my arc tool. I made it a sketch, right? And anything I can turn into a sketch, then I can emboss it. I could cut it or I could project it out, right? So kind of neat stuff that we can do with this tool.